into the future where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So, you may or may not have met me in person. You may or may not have perused the blog or the social medias or things of that nature. You might not know what I look like. But apparently, according to absolutely everyone I've ever met, cops included, I look like a giant pothead. I look like someone that enjoys the wacky tobacco in copious quantities. I look like someone that probably loads a bowl before falling asleep and wakes and bakes first thing in the morning. Well, first thing in the late afternoon, because look at me. People make certain assumptions, and I don't necessarily understand why, but I've long since gotten over being insulted by it. I don't smoke pot. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't take drugs. I don't believe in casual sex. I don't do a lot of things that a lot of people consider to be a lot of fun. I have absolutely no interest in smoking pot recreationally. Now, talk to me about medicinal marijuana and you're going to get an entirely different story. You and I have talked about this on the show numerous times. Like, here's the thing about marijuana. Marijuana is, well, look, if you're given the option of something that's a hop, skip, and a jump away from heroin, like, say, Oxycontin, or eating a pot cookie, well, if I'm ever in a serious pain management bind, I am totally eating the cookie. But other than that, I've got little to no interest in this stuff. That said, do I approve of its legalization? Absolutely, 100 million %. Medicinally? Certainly. Recreationally? Absolutely. Here's the thing. Medicinal marijuana, recreational marijuana, whatever the hell you want to call it, whatever the hell because I mean, look, the medicinal marijuana thing, like, you talk to people that got that stuff first, like California. Like, one of my best friends lived in California when medicinal marijuana was made legal. And I was like, so, she's like, oh yeah, I smoke pot. And I was like, but you have to have some sort of an ailment. You got to go get a prescription. She's like, oh, yeah, that. And I was like, well, what do you do? She's like, the same thing that got me out of gym class in high school. I have menstrual cramps. Well, here's your marijuana. You're free to go. That was exactly how it worked. So let's be real here. The medicinal recreational line was a thin and blurry one that gets moved further and further back the closer we get to the reality of the situation. But marijuana is going to give people a non-addictive option for pain management. I don't know if I buy into the whole marijuana hype that it, cures all these different ailments, that it's the absolute wonder drug, but just based on the fact that it is non-addictive and it's not an opioid, therein lies enough reason to where it should be given to folks. I know it does wonders for people that are managing pain from cancer treatments. I know that it does wonders in managing pain for people with back problems. I know that CBD oil stuff, which might be a bit of a pseudoscience thing, is something friends of mine with hideously terrible bone and joint problems swear by. And that stuff doesn't even get you high. You just rub it on you, it tingles, and you feel better. The other thing that I like about medicinal marijuana is, you ever heard the expression, bought the farm? You know what that happens from? Where that comes from? The origin of the expression bought the farm comes from the fact that farming is a horribly wonderfully, amazingly, terribly tenuous profession to be involved in. Meaning, you get an early frost and you bought the farm. That's it. That's all she wrote. Your livelihood is gone. As it turns out, a couple years into there being medicinal marijuana was the single biggest cash crop in the state of California. A state that has untold amounts of agriculture in it. So it's pretty impressive stuff. So it's non-addictive. It's a great option when it comes to either this or opioids while I'm taking the marijuana cookie. And then also, oh, wow, you're helping out the American farmer. It's a win-win-win situation. And, well, this just makes sense. Do you have that study from the new Journal of American Medical Association thing that you were talking about before, Travis? The new study in the Journal of American Medical Association.
Yes, I do. New study finds that states with medical and recreational marijuana laws have less opioid prescriptions among Medicaid beneficiaries.
Oh, look at that. You mean already medicinal? Like you've got all forms of government going, this is a battle against opioids. There's a crisis in this country with regard to opioids. Opioids are the devil. Opioids are evil. It's a war on opioids. And all the constant battle against opioid addiction being waged by our government doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot. But what has? Medicinal marijuana seems to be taking a pretty decent chunk out of it already. The plot freaking thickens. People accuse you of being a pothead at all times, right, Travis?
Constantly. Like, it's ridiculous.
And what do you tell them when they offer you some of the wacky tobacco?
I pass on grass.
Let's start the show.
Real radio.
104.1.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So tell us more, Travis, about how marijuana is already taking a chunk out of opioid addiction problems in America.
So the National Institute on Drug Abuse estimates that more than 115 Americans die every day from opioid overdose. In 2015, about 2 million Americans were believed to have an addiction to prescription pain medication. The study found that between 2011 and 2016, opioid prescribing rates decreased by 5.88% in states with medical marijuana laws and by 6.38% in those with adult use laws. It also found that the laws have the potential to lower opioid prescribing for Medicaid enrollees, which is a high-risk population group for chronic pain, for opioid use disorder, and for opioid overdose. They say that marijuana liberalization may serve as a component of a comprehensive package to tackle the opioid epidemic.
So when I was a kid, I remember deciding I didn't like pot because I smoke pot. Like, Travis, you've never even tried this stuff, right?
Never, not a single time. And I it's not that I'm like, I just never did. I don't know. It's crazy.
I probably smoked pot every single day for about a year when I was 16 or 17 years old, around that age. And I decided after that I just plain old did not like it. I wasn't into it. It made my mind shoot off in a million different directions. I heard people say that it made them more creative. I heard people say it made them more calm. I heard people say it relaxed them. It did none of those things for me. Now, look, this is a very different day and age where there's a lot more science behind what it is you are ingesting when you are consuming marijuana products. But for me, it made my brain shoot off in a million different directions, and it made me paranoid. Here's the thing, though. I'm not talking about legalizing marijuana for the sake of, loading a bowl and letting the good times roll. I'm talking about this idea that, have you ever met someone that was addicted to opioids? Have you ever known someone addicted to opioids, Travis?
Not personally, no.
It's an ugly thing. So, at least. It's an ugly thing. A, you see it take their life away. B, at least in the cases that I've seen up close and personal, it happens really fast, like shockingly fast, to the point where in a matter of months, this one person that I used to deal with every single day that I was very good friends with went from being this normal sort of alert, bright-eyed, and bushy-tailed guy to this dude that was just meandering through life, barely able to push out sentences the way he was a couple weeks before. And I asked what was going on. He's like, nothing, man. I just get tired a lot. I was like, okay. I asked his brother and his friends, and he was like, oh, yeah, he's on pills and we can't get him off them. And I think he went to rehab for him. I kind of lost track of this guy. And the reason I lost track of him was because he stole a bunch of my stuff. I was just like, oh, wow. And this is a guy who I would have trusted to the end of the earth just a couple months before that. And I don't know what sort of stuff he was into, but it was a rapid degeneration. This kid committed crimes. He stole from me. I'm sure he stole from other people. I'm sure that he did things that I don't even want to know about before he wound up going to rehab. But I was done with him before that because I was like, hey, you and I can no longer be friends. And after he got out of rehab, he was like, I really, would like to take a stab at being friends again. I was like, I wish you all the best, but I'm not really down to hang out. You stole a bunch of my stuff. Any chance that's coming back? And he was like, I'm going to do my best to replace it. I was like, well, why don't you do that? And then we'll talk. And he never did. And this guy was a really solid individual, really good guy. And it hurt me to cut him out of my life. And I'm sure it hurt him. And he has broken relationships all over the place now. But I saw how quickly this absolutely destroyed this guy's life. Now, I think he got into that stuff recreationally. I think some of it was being passed around at a club or a party or something like that. But there's so many people that wind up addicted to this stuff after they've been prescribed it. And when I saw how quickly it got its hooks into this guy, I'd always been in favor of medical marijuana, but when I sort of realized that there was another pain management option for people that were in pain that did not involve something that could cause such a pronounced and vile change in a person, I became immediately all for it. Meanwhile, the government is pointlessly railing against the opioid epidemic. Is that what they're calling it now? The opioid epidemic? We've got an opioid epidemic in this country and we've got to do something about it.
That's it.
Just as successful as the Reagan era war on drugs. That didn't really slow things down too much, I don't think, if memory serves correct. And neither is the government-sponsored war on opioids. However, just legalizing an alternative. And look, let's say for a second it wasn't this stigmatized thing of cannabis that had been associated with potheads, burnouts, people that are into the music of the Grateful Dead, something I will never understand. If you're a fan, nothing against you, but I just don't get it. It's been associated with all these negative things. But let's just say for a moment we had this thing that was non-habit forming, that could be ingested in a number of different ways that could help people manage their pain. And you didn't know it was called marijuana. Would you say, oh, yeah, let's see what we can do with that? Or would you immediately ban it and say it was coming to unravel the fabric of your society the way people say medical marijuana is? Yeah, I didn't think so.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah.
So Travis, do you get massages? You ever go do that?
I've gotten, I think, one single massage in my entire life.
Oh man, it must not have been a very good one, because I don't know a single person that ever got one massage and didn't want to go back for another one. Like, ultimately, a back rub is nice.
Oh no. I loved it actually, and it's funny because like before I had the massage, I kind of had this weird thing about like being touched. Like I wasn't sure I'd like it because I'm like, I really don't know how I feel about a stranger touching me. And yeah, and I was with some friends, and they were like, "Hey, we're going to get massages today." And I'm like, "Oh," like we were already on our way. Like I hadn't asked, what we were doing. We were just in the car, and they're like, "We're going to get massages." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "Well, take your time. I'll wait." And they're like, "No, we already paid for yours and stuff." And I'm like, "Oh no." I'm like, "They're like, we paid, through the app." And I'm like, "Oh," so I couldn't, I felt bad. I'm like, "Well, I can't deny it. They've already paid for it." And I'm like, "Okay," I'm like, "Well, I guess I'll do this whole deal." So I found myself in a really awkward situation. I go into the room, and it was a really nice looking lady and everything.
But that's the thing. Like, I'm totally with you on the, I don't know how I feel about being touched by a stranger thing, but like there's something about like being covered and the dim lighting and, you know, sort of like they go out of the room while you get under the towel or the blanket or whatever. Like there's a disconnect there that doesn't make it feel like this person is touching me. It just feels like, for me anyway.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. And so she leaves, you know, she's like, okay, you know, go ahead and, you know, I'm going to leave and let you get ready. I'm like, okay. So she leaves and I see this little card on the table and it says like the instructions, you know, please leave your undergarments on. And all of a sudden it hits me. I'm not wearing undergarments.
Oh, you went commando.
I was commando. And so I'm like, oh
how awkward for everybody concerned.
Exactly. So I'm like, oh no, what do I do? You know, do I just leave? I don't know what to do, but I don't have a car. I can't just drive away. You know, it's already paid for. I don't know what to do. So I'm like, do I ask her? Do I explain the situation? I'm like, no, I'm just going to, I'm going to take them off. I'm just going to take it all off and put the towel over me and pray that she doesn't adventure too high, you know, or that she doesn't figure it out and think that I'm wanting something extra, you know? Oh my God. It was so awkward.
The thing is, I think if you remain businesslike about it in those situations, like, I don't know, I've always remembered to wear underwear to my massages. But I think, you know, you can just say, oh, by the way, I didn't know, or I've forgotten I wasn't, wearing undergarments today. So please don't move the towel any higher. Like, you know, you could make that your, you know, I hate
confrontation and I
don't
can't.
know.
I just couldn't. So I'm like, oh God, please.
It is awkward. Like the more I think about it, I'm like, oh, it's no big deal. You just tell them like, no, that sounds weird. No, that seems awkward. No, that could, oh yeah, no, definitely not.
Yeah. So I loved the massage. It was incredible. I had a really good time. Would I go back? Yeah, I probably would. They're expensive, you know, that's the thing. And I just don't know about paying for it. Like, so that's been like the holdup. If someone else bought me a massage, yeah, sure, I'll go in. This time I'll remember to wear undies.
I mean, they're not that, well, I guess it depends on where you go. I don't know. Like, here's the thing. Like, I always want it to be, because I don't like that personal thing. I don't want, like, I knew some people in Houston that were massage therapists. And they're like, oh, you should come by. You'll get a massage. I was like, no, I know you. I don't need, no, God, no. And like, these are like casual people, like not necessarily friends, but just, you know, people that I'd met casually. Like, yeah, you know, I used to do that gig out of that club Scout Bar. If you're in Houston, you know, it's out in Clear Lake. And like, there were a couple people there that were, that worked at like Massage Envy or something like that. They're like, oh yeah, come out, you know, like I'm the manager there. We'll get you one on the house. I'm like, no. I would like there to be, I have a very specific want and need for people that massage me. I don't like a dude to do it. I just don't. It's not a thing for me. And B, I don't like them to, you know, move in the same social circles as me, be my same age, and preferably I would like my masseuse to speak English as a second language. Like, and stay with me on this one. I just think that the language, you know, that sort of like that depersonalization that the darkness in the towel gives you, like a language barrier does the same thing. You know, it's just like, if you don't really speak my language and I don't really speak your language, then there's even less of a chance of this getting awkward. Does that make sense?
I think in a weird way it does.
Like, people are trying to figure out what to do with immigrants. A lot of people are worried about immigrants coming in and taking our jobs. I'm worried about Americans taking immigrant jobs. I got a massage from a Midwestern white lady. And it essentially felt like a cat was walking on my back for an hour. Not an angry or a hungry cat, just a happy cat. Trying to find a place to sleep. And then a couple weeks later, I got a massage from a Korean man, and he pressed into my back with the pressure that he had left his whole family behind. That's a great massage! You need a massage from someone who's been through something. You can't get a massage from a woman named Meredith, where the worst thing that ever happened to her is the one time she got bangs. Like, I walked in and I saw it was a white lady, and at first I be Russian. But then she goes, lay down. I was like, no, she sounds like me. Because rarely do you walk into a situation and think, you know who'd be better at this job? A white lady. Unless that job is crying outside of a bar, then yes.
The great Michelle Wolf. The last massage I had was actually, it was at a Korean place, I think, and it was Korean, and it was a dude, and it was beat the living crap out of my back. Like, I actually couldn't move for like 2 days. Like, it felt like, you know, if you haven't done any exercise for a really long time, and then you do a lot of exercise, you're like, you just seize up, you know, like that's what it felt like. I couldn't move my back for like 2 days. I was like, that guy might've gone a little heavy on the old backy back there. And then like 2 days later, I felt freaking fantastic.
Nice.
But
I'm jealous.
It took 3 days of pain to get to that 1 day of So, and that was one of the few massages I've had from a man. A lot of elbows. It was one of those places. You ever been into those chair foot massage places?
No, I've seen them. Most of the time that I see those places, they're in the mall, and like, it's just one of those things that I don't want somebody else watching me get a massage.
No, absolutely not. Well, this place is like, it's right by one of my favorite Korean barbecue restaurants, and is like across the street from it, and it's sort of like you can get the sort of like the chair massage thing where you soak your feet and they give you a head massage and then rub your feet and all this sort of stuff and like that. It's really, really like, man, if you spend a lot of time on your feet and your arches ache or whatever the hell it is, whatever the hell manner in which your feet hurt, go for one of these bad boys and you're good to go. But I was just like, oh, you got a chair? And he's like, yeah, we can do a chair massage too, where you like put your head through the hole.
Oh,
and,
yes.
And man, lot of elbows were involved. And he was like, you're very tense. Do you mind if I like, you know, kind of dig in to get rid of these knots? I was like, sure, go nuts. And man, it was brutally intense, but I felt a million times better about a week later.
That's awesome. I've never, I would have no issue with a man doing a massage. And that's kind of the reason why. Not that a woman can't, you know, do the same thing with the hands, but I would love to have the strength of it. Like, that's the only thing that I think would really, really make me kind of curious about it. Would just be, you know, oh my God, I think they could really, really open up like the muscles. I think it'd be crazy.
I did get one massage from a female once who I believe had a bit of a sadistic streak. And I can't remember. It was one of those chain places like Massage, Heights, Envy. One of the, like, I'm not calling out either of those places, but it was one of those places. Yeah. And by the way, the massage was really good. But the girl was really small, like, and very young as well. You know, like, and I use the word girl. I'm sure she was a woman, but she was extremely young. And seemed even younger because of her high squeaky voice and her diminutive size. And it seemed as though she had something to prove. And I didn't look at her and go, I'm not getting a good massage from her. I just, yeah, fine, I'll lie down. Great, you know, this is what I paid for. And she went in on my shoulder blades and like really kind of got in there and undid some knots that had been in for a while. And it was great. And, she was like, how's that pressure? How's that pressure? Like wanting me to like say uncle. I was like, that's good. Yep. No, that's good. You can go a little harder in this spot. And so at the end of it, she was like, bet you didn't think a little girl like me could hurt you like that, did you? I was like, I think you've got some stuff to work through, but I'm happy to have you work through it on my back because that was amazing.
Kidding. Well, it sounds like at least from these stories that most of the places you've gone to are like reputable chain places. Have you ever been to like any sketchy ones? A friend of mine was telling me that he went to this like kind of shady place like over near where I live, and he said that he felt like the lady was trying to talk him into a little extra, and I was like, did you accept? And he's like, no. He's like, but it was weird. He's like, at the end, she kissed me on the forehead, and I'm like, I'm like,
I've had many massages in my life. That has never once been part of it.
I said, I don't think that's okay. And he's like,
I don't think that's normal or okay.
Yeah. And he's like, it was weird, bro. And I said, hang on, she kissed you on the forehead? He's like, I think she was wanting to, I don't think she wanted it to be over. I think she wanted to do more. And I said, and she kissed you on the forehead? And he's like, yeah. Like, oh my God.
You realize there's creepers right now going, say the name of the place, say the name of the place.
I don't know it, else I'd try and give him a plug. No, I'm joking. I really don't know it though. But yeah, have you been anywhere like potentially sketchy or no?
I've always been to either
the chains.
Well, I like, and by the way, apparently, I don't want to say the wrong one. Maybe Google it, but one of those chains, Massage Envy or Massage Heights, has all sorts of like wildly inappropriate things. There was like this one woman whose story went viral because like the guy did wildly inappropriate stuff to her whilst massaging her.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Google this. Maybe we'll talk about it after the break, because I don't want to say anything out of school in terms of, you know, which place this was, but it was one of those larger, quote unquote, more reputable massage chains recently, where it wasn't so much I don't think customers going in there and asking for extras, but like female customers being like, didn't ask for that, gonna need you to stop that. I know. As it turns out, I don't hold tension there. Like,
no way.
Yeah, it was bad.
Oh my God, that's so awkward. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is a little crazy. Did we just spend like an entire segment talking about bad massages?
And good massages.
And good massages too. And massages that make you question things afterwards.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of one. I feel like maybe I wasn't a good client because I didn't get kissed on the head after my massage. Was I not? Did I not wear my best? Like, was I not looking good enough that they didn't want to do more?
Felt a little rejected.
Yeah, I kind of do.
Like Costanza when the carpet cleaning cult didn't want to take him in.
Yes.
My masseuse didn't kiss me on my head. What's wrong with me?
What am I doing wrong in my life? Why am I not?
I've never, I never like prostitution. Again, it's like Costanza. Prostitution is like a really good parking spot. You don't ever want to pay for it because you feel like if you try hard enough, you might get it for free. Like, I've always felt like the idea of prostitution is so just beyond me. I couldn't never been interested in. No, but I do have one friend that swore by a shady massage parlor in New York City where he used to go all the time. And, well, you wouldn't believe what the appeal was. We'll get into it next.
Sometimes you just know you're done. You're longing for that shining sun. You walk these streets most every day. You're waiting to get washed away.
More AD on the radio.
So did you find the statistic? Which quote-unquote reputable chain massage place was the one that got popped for all sorts of weird sexual misconduct stuff recently?
Both of them.
Oh, really?
I was trying to find it, and so I searched for both names with sexual misconduct, and it looks like both of them have been sued by a ton of people over sexual misconduct. So I guess it just goes to show that no matter how good of a business you run, you can't predict that you're hiring perverts, especially in a business like massage.
Massage Heights and Massage Envy, right?
Yeah, those are the two. Both Massage Envy shaken by reported sex misconduct at spas. Same thing from Massage Heights. I
think when all those sort of allegations came out, like Massage Envy was like, we are a franchise operation. We are a franchise operation.
Exactly.
We can't control what goes on in every one of these places. We do not take full responsibility for this, but we take some responsibility for this, or something like that. It was a little bit of legalese there. A buddy of mine used to go get the happy ending massages in New York City and swore by them. And I was like, really? How could you do that? That's so weird. Like, he was like, it's not. He was like, I got to tell you, the finishing part is, it's really just, it's just makes it extra relaxing. The main thing was, he was like, man, they rub your feet with this oil and salt. And like, I was like, your foot oil salt scrub? He's like, I know, it sounds great, right? Do you want to go? I was like, no, I don't. No, I don't want to lie on a table where some guy's sweaty, hairy, fat butt has been as he ended happily, like just moments before. Absolutely not. And yeah, but no, he said it was just, he was like, I really do go for the massage part. I was like, okay. He's like, the way it ends is just, I was like, you can justify it any way you want, and I'm not judging, but that is not for me. Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. It's just weird. It's just weird. I don't know. Like, I have a hard enough problem talking myself into, okay, it's not weird. Let a stranger touch all over your somewhat naked body, and this is what they do for a living. I can't even begin. No, I can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, plus there's a whole, the illegal part, and you're going to go to jail. Like, I don't often think of like, I'm a public figure, what if, like, but like, I don't care. I don't do anything wrong. I don't, like, whatever. But, if I was the type of person that felt like I would be comfortable paying for that, just the idea that like the guy from your radio station got busted getting a happy ending at like, no, thank you.
And imagine if you got busted for it and it wasn't even very good.
Yeah, they didn't even enjoy it. Still gonna go in the paper.
Oh God! Imagine if they still tried to charge you for it.
Still going to be that gallery of mugshots up at thebuzz.com featuring you.
Oh, my God. That would be terrible.
I don't know if you've ever seen them. And for those that aren't in Houston, like Travis and I work at a station called The Buzz in Houston. Travis used to work at a station called The Buzz in Houston. And every once in a while, there'll be like a bust up of a prostitution ring or something like that. And they put the gallery of the people that were arrested, because like mugshots are, public record and public property. They'll put them up on like the blog, and every single time that happens, there's some comment on it like, holy crap, I know them. Like,
I know.
It's so awkward. I feel so terrible for them. I mean, they were breaking the law and they were doing something hideously wrong and all, but like, I was like, oh dude, that's not a good look.
I worked at a job. I can't remember for sure. I'm pretty sure it was the railroad. And somebody was talking about some guy. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's the guy that got busted for the prostitution. And I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, one of those big stings? I was like, yeah. Yeah, they got him. I was like, hang on. Does he still work here? They're like, yeah.
This is one of your coworkers?
Yeah. Yes.
Dude, that's terrible. I mean, I guess, life must go on after you get busted for soliciting prostitutes and your mugshot is plastered all over the internet. But like, I have a hard time imagining how.
I don't want to know how. I don't want to figure it out. Yeah, that's just awkward, man. There's certain things I don't need in life. That's one of them. It's terrible.
Well, speaking of matters of sexual impropriety, I don't know if you caught it or not, but Molly Ringwald, star of 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, all the great 80s movies from back in the day. Molly Ringwald has been making some noise recently talking about the fact that there are things in her classic movies that she has realized in the Me Too era aren't cool. She said the films, there's stuff in there that like, I remember at the time when I was a kid watching, I was like, that seems racist. Well, that seems downright wrong. But the films, she says, still have values because they gave teenagers a voice. I mean, Breakfast Club is a rite of passage. Like, you get to the 8th grade And here's your Led Zeppelin album. Here's your Bob Marley album. Here's your Clash record. This is everything by Metallica. Here's your jean jacket. Here's your DVD of The Breakfast Club. Learn it, love it, know it. And so it's kind of a rite of passage thing. It's one of those things that will be relevant for years and years, I think. But she does make some interesting points, which we'll talk about a little later on. And yeah, there are parts of The Breakfast Club. 16 Candles I haven't seen as often, so I do remember some stuff in there at the time going like, that seems not okay, like as a kid even. So probably if I watched that movie today, there'd be stuff where I go, oh, that's definitely not okay.
On Amazon Prime TV, they have a little Funny or Die show called Zach Morris's Trash that talks about what a piece of trash Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell was.
Oh, yeah.
And I look back and I'm like, when I watched those shows as a kid, he just seemed like a cool kid. But now,
dude, there's whole blogs about how Jim and Pam from The Office are just the most hideous bullies you've ever met, because there's one guy there that's a little unusual, Dwight, and all they do is pick on him all day long and play merciless pranks on him and steal his clients and stuff. There is one movie, like Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, have to think about that, but there's one movie that I remember as a kid watching growing up and being like, I don't believe they just did that, and I don't believe the girl acted like she was okay with it. We'll get into all this later.
Leave the stimulation to the professionals.
Everyone is so smart.
KPRC, more stimulating talk radio.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The dumbing up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
Molly Ringwald, red-haired star of movies like The Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, that we grew up on in the 80s, says there are things about her classic movies that aren't cool in the Me Too era. But she also says the films still have value because they gave teenagers a voice. Now, I'd have to think a little bit, maybe go back and watch The Breakfast Club and watch 16 Candles. I think I have an idea what it is she says is inappropriate about The Breakfast Club. 16 Candles, I seem to remember there being some unbelievably racist things in 16 Candles. And at the time as a kid thinking that's not okay. But there was one movie that I guess kind of gets lumped into all those 80s teen movies that came out back in the day that I've always thought like, how this seems, well, he did this to her and then she acted like she liked it. I don't think that would ever happen. Which movie are we talking about and what exactly happened? We'll get into it later. Right now, though, let's take a look at the events of today. Travis, what's going on in the news?
Zach Braff says he wants to have 20 kids.
Yeah, that's too many. Too many children.
Yeah.
I always think if you're going to have kids, 2, maybe 3. And my logic behind this is very simple. You have 2 hands. You can only hold on to 2 kids at any one time. I've seen parents walking down the street with 3 kids, and it always seems like they've got 2 that they're holding and 1 that's running up ahead, and they're shouting at them, being like, no, look out for that thing. Don't do that. No, stay. Come away from the road. And it seems like if you have more children than you have hands, then you're going to have a difficult time with it. That's my thing. So 20 kids, too many for Zach Braff. That's the guy from Scrubs, right?
Yeah. I don't know how he feels about like politics and stuff, and I really don't care, but loved him in Scrubs.
I was just confused because when I found out they wanted to have 20 kids, I was like, they're not a member of the NBA. Go on.
Pam Anderson says becoming a Playboy Playmate saved her life.
Oh. Was it the fake boobs? Did they keep her afloat that one time she almost drowned? Like, I wonder. There you go. I mean, got her out of Canada. That's a life-saving move. I kid. I love our friends in the Great White Frozen North. Go on.
The Rock says he and Vin Diesel still have some ill will.
Well, yeah. They got into it over Fast and Furious, right?
I think so. There's a lot of drama in that whole little series of movies that, in my opinion, should have ended about 10 years ago.
I've never seen one of them. I don't know anything about it. But, yeah, I'm more muscular and racially ambiguous. No, I'm more muscular and racially ambiguous. That's a good thing. They can't fight using racial slurs because neither one of them can figure out what the hell the other one is. Did you see that thing The Rock said when he was on Saturday Night Live and he was talking about running for president? And he was like, I know I'd win the minority vote because everyone would vote for me thinking I'm whatever the hell they are.
That's hilarious. No, I did not. I didn't know that he was like aware that nobody knew what he was.
I think he's Polynesian, right?
I think he is. I don't know. This reminds me of that Seinfeld where Elaine was dating the guy that she thought was black.
Yeah, we're just a couple of white people.
Yeah.
You want to go to the Gap?
He goes, they're trying to discuss it. She goes, I don't think we're supposed to be talking about this. Oh my God. It's so
amazing.
It's
what
so
else?
Funny. WrestleMania was on Sunday.
Oh, right. I don't know. If you want to see sweaty, half-dressed men grabbing and striking each other aggressively, you can just take a peek in Kevin Spacey's bedroom window, and there you go. Bazinga. Did you watch wrestling growing up? Was that a thing for you?
It was. I totally did. And I don't anymore. I don't. I kind of wonder, though, being, an adult and stuff, maybe it would be like a lighthearted something that I don't care about that would be fun to watch, but I just kind of don't have the time, I
went to my first WWE wrestling event a little while ago, and I got to tell you, it was a good time. There were like guys behind me playing drinking games whenever there was like a specific hold or something like that used. They're like, drink.
Awesome. That's
and
awesome.
Then next to me, there was this kid, like, and whenever his hero, I can't remember who it was, he was all excited to see, was, on the wrong side of a ladder or table or chair. The kid would scream at the top of his lungs. He'd be like, I believe in you.
Oh my God.
And I was like, that's cute. And so I was like,
awesome.
So for the guys behind me that obviously grew up watching wrestling and now go because it's fun and they're playing drinking games while the wrestling's going on, it's tons of fun. For the kid next to me going, I believe in you, because, they still think it's real. There's that. For me, it was just like, wow, this looks smaller and faker than it does on TV. Like, I was just struck by how unimpressive it was.
Yeah, I only went to a single wrestling match growing up, and I'm trying to remember. It was obviously in Houston, because I grew up in Houston. It was at the Summit, when the Summit was actually there, before the Summit was a church. And I can't remember, I don't think it was like a huge, it wasn't like a SummerSlam or anything like that. I think it was just a wrestling match. It was when the WWE was the WWF. So,
although I am excited, I think we might have Rey Mysterio coming on the show sometime
that would
in the
be
not
awesome.
too distant future. Well, he's got this sort of like luchador, like Mexican wrestling thing that he does, and I think he might be coming on the show to talk about that. So I'll be excited if that happens. That should be really, really cool. And kind of friendly with a couple wrestlers back in the day, because my music was used in that movie Ready to Rumble.
That's
and
right.
Got to know of a couple of them through that. And so it always seemed like a lot of fun to me, but yeah. There you go. WrestleMania. Go on.
President Trump's trade war with China could make bacon more expensive.
Oh, wow. And just like that, he loses the support from Roseanne.
And possibly me. My God, I love bacon. Oh.
1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a trade war. What? No bacon. Hey, man, he ran. Like, he didn't call it trade war, but he ran on the idea of a trade war with China.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, yeah, we're getting a raw deal. Economic nationalism. Rah! And it's like, this is very big of you, but I don't know if you know what that means. You keep on using that word. I don't know. It felt like Inigo Montoya from Princess Bride. You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. Meaning, there's nothing wrong with the idea of economic nationalism and dealing with the massive disparity that we've got in our importing and exporting. However, one must recognize that there will be things will get worse before they get better fiscally, unless you're in steel or aluminum, in which case it's happy days are here again. But like economic nationalism, the upside of it, if we wind up staying the course and sticking with it, will take a long time to get to. So hang in there and get ready to start paying more for delicious bacon. Sorry,
and if
Travis.
you know somebody in the steel or aluminium business,
marry them.
Yeah, because
marry
they can
them
buy
now.
you expensive bacon.
Yeah.
All right. Mark Zuckerberg is testifying before Congress next week.
Yeah, well, first thing he needs to do, figure out what color necktie goes best with a gray hoodie. Go on.
Twitter has suspended over 1 million accounts for terrorist content.
Yeah, Twitter feels strongly that aggressive tweets and provocative threats should come from one person and one person only, our president.
So true. It's so
Got
true.
a massive nuke button and it works really well.
My nuke button's bigger than yours.
My nuke button's bigger than yours. Well, that's okay. But he actually has nukes and a button. Yeah, that's okay. I'm going to come over to your house and kick your ass. Well, you're clearly blocked. All right. How much time do we have left?
About 3.5 minutes. Do you want to talk about the thing and the deal?
Let's talk about the thing with the thing and the thing.
Yeah.
Molly Ringwald watched The Breakfast Club with her 10-year-old daughter a while back, and it got her thinking about the classic movie she made with John Hughes back in the day and how inappropriate some of the content is in retrospect. Like when Judd Nelson's character, John Bender, goes under the table and peeks up the skirt of Molly's character, Claire, then apparently touches her inappropriately, although they don't actually show it. I never understood what happened there. You know the scene that he winds up under the table because he's hiding from the principal, and he looks up and he's looking at her skirt, and we don't really see what happens. She just jumps and is like, "What the hell?" But the idea is that, did he sexually assault her there? In an essay for The New Yorker, Molly says, quote, Bender sexually harasses Claire throughout the film. When he's not sexualizing her, he takes out his rage on her with vicious contempt. He never apologizes for any of it, but nevertheless, he gets the girl in the end. She's also a little squeamish about 16 Candles, especially when Jake basically gives his drunk girlfriend to Farmer Ted, played by Anthony Michael Hall. He's like, yeah, just you take her. Like, she's drunk, you take her, she's all yours. They wake up in the car the next morning relatively certain they had sex. When Ted asks the girl if she enjoyed it, she says, I have this weird feeling I did. Not okay.
Oh my God.
Molly said she had to have a feeling about it rather than a thought, because thoughts are things that we have when we are conscious, and she wasn't. She makes a very good point. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because nobody noticed at the time, it seems. Despite some troubling content, she says these are films that she is, quote, proud of in many ways, and she's been told countless times how much they've meant to other people. Ultimately, she thinks that their greatest value is that they give teenagers seriously importance and a voice, and she said the conversations about the movies will change, and they should. There's a lot of troubling stuff in movies from that era, stuff that somehow didn't even register as wrong at the time. The most striking one for me is, do you remember Revenge of the Nerds?
I vaguely remember it, yes.
One of the nerds disguises himself as a cheerleader's jock boyfriend and has sex with her. When he reveals who he really is, she's shocked for about 2 seconds, but then she falls in love with him because the sex was so good. And he's like, oh, well, all jocks ever think about is sports. All we ever think about is sex. But in other words, he raped her. He raped her. And she loved it. And the audience cheered. I never understood that one. I was just like, hold on, he's having sex with a mask on pretending to be someone else, and she thinks she's okay with it? I don't think in real life anyone would be okay with that. Like, I remember as a kid watching this, seemingly harmless movie and catching that one scene and feeling really uncomfortable with it, actually. I was like, I was like, I don't know anything about this stuff, and I'm too young to be having, this thing that they're doing right now on the screen in front of me. But I know that I can't pretend to be someone else and do that. And I just can't. And then there's no way this girl would be okay with what he did. It's unthinkable. So in some ways, people are going, oh, leave these old classic movies alone. On the other hand, we seem to have evolved, and that's a really good thing.